Hi.
Hi!
Hi.
What? All right, you're gonna say hi. We're gonna start this one last time. Here we go. Hi.
Hi!
Hi.
We are your hostesses with the mostesses.
Your favorite living gal pals.
Miss Avocado.
And Wanda Gag!
And joining us today on the podcast is the spellbinding starlet of the Twin Cities, Luna Muse.
Ooh, that's me.
Or as I like to call her, Lunar Moose.
Lunar Moose Hive. Right.
I don't know how you feel about that name.
No, I don't mind it.
Oh, good.
Any
Yeah.
press is good press.
That's valid. That's valid.
It's better than Pride. Luna Moose.
Oh gosh.
My favorite part of Mankato Pride. And you've already been on the podcast before, but people might not have met you. So,
It was during the pandemic.
It was like fall 2020.
Yeah.
We were all just doing this on Zoom and not knowing any better.
But it was fun.
It was fun. That was one of our better interviews, I think
I think that
for
was
the time.
I won't say anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was gonna say that was one of our first good ones, just because like we were still getting in the rhythm and still getting to know people and stuff, and I felt like because we already knew you, it was a little easier.
It was a little easier, yeah.
It helps.
So what are your pronouns in and out of drag for anyone listening?
In drag, she, her. Out of drag, he, him. But anything respectful, really.
Honestly, yeah. If you say it with respect and meaning.
Or if you got a $5 bill in your hand, I'll let you call me whatever you want.
Really.
How long have you been doing drag now? It's been a minute.
I knew I was going to do this math. I started in 2017. So whatever that math is.
6 years.
6 years.
Oh, wow. That's a small child.
I mean, not really. You've been doing drag longer than I have, so.
But 6 is a small child.
But 6 years old is a small
Oh,
child.
I suppose. Oh,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Hey, they're in kindergarten. They know stuff now.
Right, they can
talk.
drive. They can drive.
They can drive. Yeah.
Girl math.
Girl math.
Yeah, I guess then 6 years.
6 whole years. Wow.
And in whole years, how many years is that?
Well, the moon waxes and wanes and
Mm-hmm.
full and halves.
Yeah.
Did you do anything for the Aries full moon?
No.
No.
No, when I say I'm a witch in drag, picture like Party City, the week after Halloween where everything is on sale.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of Disneyfied and cheaper.
I love that. That's way more
That
fun.
is what I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what kind of performances can we expect from you? I mean, I don't know if things have changed in the last few years, but like, what can we expect from the Luna Muse productions?
Well, I feel like there's two different routes.
Yeah.
What I do currently. I do a lot of themed stuff. So if you're coming for the theme, you're gonna get the theme.
You're gonna get the theme.
I think I always kind of have some like theatrical, maybe a little kookier.
Utica is kooky.
Like, I'm in on the joke kind of a delivery of like a performance, I guess. I used to, initially, when I, like, jumped in, I wanted to be, like, I'm going to do the top 40, but, like, twisted, thinking I was, like, real deep. I just, but maybe not Dragula, you know, hitting over the head with the blood capsules and whatnot. I just think, like, I like to kind of, like, I don't know, twist what you're expecting.
Yeah.
You know, I might look like a sort of pretty girl, and then I come out and I just, like, lose my shit for, like, 5 minutes, and...
I never know what I'm gonna get, because especially like the most recent Ghoulfriends, I was like,
Kinda fun,
okay,
huh?
that was good. Your witch number, that made me feel things. I was like, oh.
Well, everyone like sees me do witchy stuff, and I was like, ooh, this one I'm gonna be a witch, or do wiccophobia, the fear of witches.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna like present what people thought that was back then, because I was around when they were burning witches and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, because usually you're the campy witch, and so to see the spooky witch was.
Well,
very fun.
And too with Ghoulfriends especially, and I do this at like a lot of shows that I'm in, like at Lush and whatnot. I try to look at the lineup and think like, okay, well if I'm here with Nocturna and I'm here with Amber Hudson, I gotta meet somewhere in the middle so that I'm delivering. We're kind of hitting all the checkpoints, you know.
Yeah.
I don't mind being versatile in that regard. So yeah, I try to gauge like who I'm with. So the Ghoulfriends, I kind of always fall into the like. Sillier, campier.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Someone's got to. I can't be crying every number. I can't be feeling fear every single number.
Right. And I don't know if that would be authentic to me if I was like really trying to thrash. Like I don't know if that's my destiny. Like,
yeah.
Hair whipping, blood squeaks.
And I love watching them do it, but it's just not what I'm great at, I think.
That's fair. And then your Fear of Cats number, that one was very...
Well...
How did you come up with this mix? Because it was all over the place. It was like, oh!
So for those of you at home who were too lame to come to Ghoul Friends, I started a number dressing up a Katy Perry. She talks about being a cat, dressed as one of the extras in Cats the Musical. And then I did Memory from Cats, the Nicole Scherzinger version, because she's from the What Pussy Cat Dolls. And then I ended with Catwalk by RuPaul. I just wanted to have a fun, crazy time.
That twist of Catwalk at the end, I was like, what the? It was so good.
Well, I had just done this, I don't know if it was a real seance, but I drew a pentagram on the floor of the saloon, probably ingested cocaine and dirt in the process of doing it.
There was some powder on the floor.
There was, and I didn't know about this until after.
Did you see that guy?
No.
Oh, you didn't hear him during your number? He was clapping off.
During the which one?
Yeah,
I was in the zone.
During
I was
everyone's
in the zone.
number, he was clapping off beat.
Oh, well, I'm glad I could wash off his
And
powder off the floor.
Yeah, and on the floor was all that white powder, and I was like...
And I was, ringing it, above the head, and rain on me, sin on me.
something?
No, I did. Well, I felt like I was in the moment.
Yeah, right.
That's wild.
It is wild, yeah. Anyways, I don't remember what the question was, but...
I don't either.
Well, a typical Luna Muse performance.
Right, all that,
I think
all
we
that.
started.
Across the board, I feel like I feel like most of the times nowadays I'm doing themed stuff, and so that I kind of take the route of I use my theater training, and it's more of okay, I'm acting,
Yeah,
I'm doing a character, yeah. To go from was it last weekend I did Vanderpump Rules to then do Beetlejuice the Musical. I just like to do everything.
Absolutely. I like that you commit to the bit. There's
Yeah.
no one that commits like you in the Twin Cities. You have the costumes, you have the number, everything is cohesively I get it.
Well, I try.
And I'm
Cranked out
entertained.
5 outfits this week.
I try.
How many outfits do you make on average a week, do you think?
I've slowed down recently because now I'm kind of hitting where we're repeating things. So
Yeah.
Instead of making 3 new ones, I can make 1.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing and shuffle things around. I can do 2 to 3 a week.
Okay.
But I don't love doing that.
No.
Because I know that the quality goes down. And when people, I've been asked when are you going to commission for me? When are you going to make me something? It's well, I know what this looks like on the inside, and I'm okay with not everyone knowing what it looks like on the inside.
Right.
I don't want to charge people to, I know how to cut corners for my own costuming.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that for other people, but
It is scary making something
It
for
is.
somebody else. It's if they don't like the quality or there's one thing wrong, you're not getting paid
or they
anymore.
don't know how to shimmy in it the right
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it's
Work it on
horrifying.
the first wear, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then some people are know enough about sewing that they're wow, this stitching is really bad, and I'm
Yeah.
I haven't had that problem, but I've heard other people do.
I was gifted a serger, and it changed my life. So the serging really speeds things up.
I have it in the closet, and I still haven't threaded it.
Haven't
I'm
touched
scared of it.
it.
I'm scared of it.
Well, you know what? I have threaded a serger so many damn times.
I
Once
For
you-
years, it's a bitch to thread, mostly.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But once you get it, if anyone is making costumes, invest in a serger because it'll speed things
Well,
up.
and my one machine had a serger built in, so I was oh, that's enough.
Oh.
It had some serging settings, yeah.
It did. It was the heavy duty, but it was an addition. It was the
It's right there.
Singer heavy duty,
Huh.
but it had just a little dial that turned into the serger, and then it could do any stitch. But it was.
Did it cut the
It did not cut the fabric.
That's the
You
difference.
get a hook that does that for you.
But yeah, it's a surging setting, but then you still have those rough edges, so I guess that's
sure.
the trade-off.
For those of you at home, serging is when it finishes the edge, like in your jeans and whatnot. It wraps the ends up so it doesn't fray.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
thought I'd educate our listeners.
I need to start doing that on costumes for people. Okay, so what is it like being a regular performer with Flip Phone? I see you constantly cranking out new costumes and numbers. What's that been like? Because it's been a couple years now. Just constantly grinding.
They've been really good to me. It's fun. It's a bit of fly by the seat of your pants. Almost.
I believe it.
One thing when people ask me about Flip Phone, is that it's such a beast on the other side of things. We're quite literally we're used to doing shows of lineups of 6 to maybe even sometimes 10. We are working with 3 performers doing doubles, and so when the costuming comes into play is how fast can I change? But in regards to just in general their theme stuff, I always think it's fun because it's an opportunity to for example Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift. Those are some pretty strong and fierce fan bases.
Yeah.
And what I like to do when I'm in a show or whatever is do a lot of research of who this person was, or if I'm playing Harry Houdini, I would research all about Harry Houdini. And so for the concerts this summer, especially the Taylor stuff, it's kind of fun to I don't know, do the research to see what what she does at the concerts and whatnot, because then you get that reaction from the people going to the crowds. A lot of their people have never seen drag before. They're from the suburbs. They're there for a bachelorette party, and so kind of meeting them halfway, and showing them what drag is, and then also like the familiarity of the theme to them, I think is really helpful to kind of like, you know, we're a lot less scary when we're sweating over your avocado. But no, it's great, and I think that they've really, I don't know, they've given a lot of people opportunity, and yeah, I like it. They're good to me.
Yeah. Is it fun to be like challenged, especially because you probably a couple years ago would never have done Harry Styles or anything like that?
Oh
like,
my gosh,
that must be very tricky to like find the joy in something that you normally don't.
I was gonna say like, king drag, and then when that
and I've been
rose,
doing it a bunch lately.
Yeah.
I was like, how did that first start exactly?
I was the first one was Harry Styles, and I was so nervous to do it because just like that's just not normally what I do in drag, obviously. And two, I was going through the whole thinking of like, am I taking away opportunity by doing this or whatever?
Yeah.
A lot of time what happens though with the flip phone stuff is the themes, like we run out of female characters.
Yeah.
And some of the more iconic characters sometimes are male presenting.
Yeah.
And so I take it upon myself to then, you know, dive into that. But then I have to come back full circle and remind myself, like, Aranya actually said this to me, like, you know, it's not necessarily taking away opportunity because you're a drag performer, you're a drag entertainer. It's they didn't book you and say you have to be a king for this one.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some of the flip phone divas across the nation. They'll stay in like female presenting drag for Harry Styles.
Oh, okay.
I just think it's kind of fun. It's kind of taught me like, I don't know, to like liberate the real boy part of me.
Oh, yeah.
When doing it, I think it's in drag. I've noticed when I went back to theater this summer, like I'm just so used to doing this one thing of like a boo, ew, that kind of a thing. And so it's nice to kind of like be challenged, I guess, to do things that I'm not normally doing.
Yeah.
And like, you know, doing the boy stuff. I just did Tom Sandoval. If you watch Vanderpump Rules, for those of you at home, big deal. He's like a reality television villain.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this because it's going to be funny and kooky. I'm going to walk out there. They're going to boo me. And they like, they were horny for this real life like cheater. Like was just caught up in a scandal. And so it's kind of fun to just, I don't know, escape into a different world.
Absolutely.
You know?
Imagine it's also like really freeing for your drag just to not be limited.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's fun to say like, they're expecting this from me. Well, I'm gonna show them this other thing, you know, because I think I have gotten in the habit of feeling less like hindered by like what I feel like I'm good at or whatever. I'm just gonna like shoot for the moon, and if I land on, I don't know, the next parking lot, that's where I land.
Does doing like king stuff ever make you feel more confident as a boy afterwards?
It does.
Yeah.
You know, and I think recently I've been experiencing, and I don't know what it is, but like ghoulfriends, for example, part of it is because I'm sweating and I want to get out of drag. But the other part of it is like, no, I want people to see me like as I present in the world, you know?
Yeah.
I think I'm still I get kind of weirded out when people like sexualize Luna Muse when I don't want them to sexualize Luna Muse.
Yeah.
When I'm performing, obviously we want them to be like, here I am. But when I'm walking around dressed as a cat and you tell me that you want to take me home wearing a cat suit with cat makeup from an off-Broadway community theater production of Cats, that's when I draw the line. So
I just want to feed you some Friskies.
Yeah, So I have been kind of given a little more confidence about just, you know, being a boy in the gay scene. Mm-hmm. So I think it is intimidating.
Yeah.
I have had I've seen so many gay, like mean gay people in like doing drag and whatnot, and there is a shield of armor when I look like this, because when I don't look like this, I look like a lot of them.
Yeah.
Except less Botox and less hairlines that have been assisted from a trip to Turkey.
Well, and I imagine those are the people that go to flip phone brunches. I feel like as some of the mean gays.
Or just like to the bars.
Oh, just to the bars
you know,
too.
To saloon and whatnot. Most people that go to the brunches are pretty kind.
Okay, good.
Yeah, good. I never have any issue. It's always the saloon. You know?
It is the saloon. Is like
always the saloon.
So we actually had a run-in with some gays not one gay and his hag that went to the Taylor brunch. Like they were apparently just hitting the brunch all day.
They do. People will be at brunch and then they'll go to the saloon and they'll be there when I go up there later in the day.
And so we were at a Ryan Coit photo shoot and stuff, and this drunk former twink. Like, hasn't been.
Former twink.
And he's just like, oh, are these your wigs? And I'm like, yeah, I made them. And he's just like, oh. And this fucking bitch. And then also later that night, his girlfriend, who was very fucking smashed, dripped ketchup on one of her wigs. It was a mess.
Take a sip every time Ava repeats a story on this show.
I condensed it. I don't think I told that whole story.
You told this one on either Aragi's or Demita's. It happened recently.
It wasn't Demita's because I just listened to that one.
Oh, okay.
Shout out Demita Sanchez. The thing that happens to me at the saloon way too many times, and this is not a brag, I always get the compliment sandwich of, you look great, your makeup looks great, which I think is fun because I feel like my makeup decays the minute I put it on. But then people, when given the confidence of alcohol, will then like tell me that they think someone I was just like in the show with, like, her makeup doesn't look good, or you should teach her how to do that. Like, do you ever get that of like,
yeah,
like, oh, you look much better than her? I hate that because it's like, what am I supposed to do? Agree with you? Like, what?
People in Mankato, old people come to Ava and be like, it's so good to see a drag queen with a talent.
Yeah, that's
because they think they're complimenting. I just like I some of my like greatest friends in drag, like they'll be performing and then someone like during their performance will like confront me with like, oh, she looks like shit. And like, what am I supposed to do? Of watching her, people are watching
That's
me.
my friend.
Yeah.
Like, I
just kind of go like, I can't hear you. What?
Yeah. I come to the office and I watch you type on your stupid little computer, and then I look over to the girl on the left, and I'm just like, why don't you tell her how to do?
They're not working in an office. They're cleaning things at Target.
Oh yeah, probably.
God.
What is your research process like for brunches? Because I imagine you are constantly just like trying to keep up with pop culture so hard.
It's kind of fun that way. Because things like Taylor, I wouldn't be as invested in, I think, if I, wasn't affiliated with some kind of stuff. I'll use an example like White Lotus.
Yeah.
We were asked, like, White Lotus season 2 was airing. And Chad, the owner of Flip Phone, is like, hey, would you like to be in White Lotus brunch? And I'm a yes girl. I'll say yes. And then I'll cram the homework immediately after saying yes. And so I was like, yeah, sure, it sounds fun. I've heard some stuff about it. And then I watched all of it, and like, essentially, it's just watching. It's taking note of like, okay, I want to be her. I think that would be an easier costume. I think this would be a fun like performance character to do. That's kind of it. I mean, music-wise, it's just diving into the music. I think where it comes in handy is like knowing who you're like doing a show of.
Yeah.
Is when you do know the discography. Someone like Taylor, I think, if you're newer to like Taylor Swift, for example, it's going to be a surface level like Karma, Anti-Hero, like what's new and fresh, when there's like so much to choose from. And I think, I don't know, it's just kind of predicting what people on like TikTok and the fan base are going to expect.
Yeah.
TikTok is very handy.
I believe it.
For anything pop culture related, I feel like because we can literally see what Beyonce is wearing at her concert like the night of.
Yeah. Like, are you like trying to follow trends and be like, okay, I have a feeling we're going to do a brunch on that soon, so I should start thinking about it?
Sometimes. I think I used to do that, and now I get so overwhelmed when I look at the calendar that I don't try to predict.
That's fair.
Unless it's like a number, like a standalone number, like at Lush.
Yeah.
I love doing like drag at, somewhere like Lush or the Saloon. No, it's not necessarily following the pop culture, it's having a pulse on like what is. I recently got a subscription to Vogue. Because I'm trying to up like my non-costumey looks.
Gotcha.
And like watching the runways and whatnot, I think. Not that I'm a runway diva, but I think it's good to know like what
silhouettes are in
trend.
What's new, what's exciting.
Yeah. That I'm big into the housewives, so I like.
I was gonna say you're like constantly watching
I like
that.
seeing what they're wearing and.
Because you're just like sewing and watching whatever's like.
Well, the thing about the housewives is that once you know their voices, you don't have to see the screen.
That's fair.
You can just like You're
like, oh, I know what they're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
But I would recommend watching some of them. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is a great place to start. They're all cuckoo bananas. You see someone get arrested. You see a cult church. We just saw them at the Trixie Motel.
Oh, that's right. I've been seeing clips of that.
It's great.
They don't have the what was the wine that they were asking about?
Dom Perignon.
Yeah, 2003.
Yep. They sure don't.
They sure
And it was cool to see those episodes, for those of you at home who watch The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We know that the housewives, some of them are like terrible people. They vote red, they're Republican and whatnot. Right. Salt Lake City is different because like they're all kind of affiliated with the Mormon church, or they've left it or whatever. And it was interesting when they incorporated someone like Trixie Mattel, who we all know and love.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the general population knows who she is by now. And to see like the kind of like micro like homophobic, like, oh, I'm not gonna go in that gay club, or I'm not gonna put drag makeup on because I don't like the way that looks.
Yeah.
Or like stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's interesting and telling of who you are.
So it's just fun to hate them. Is that like half the fun of the show?
It's love to hate.
Yeah.
But I'm not one of those FAGGOTS.
Snapping, clapping, touch toes, raise your hands, now body roll.
That is online. That is online, like sending death threats to the divas.
God, no.
It's just like Drag Race. It's fun to like watch and absorb and chat with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, they know they're filming reality television. And
I was gonna say it's all just kind of opera. It's not scripted, but
yeah.
it's just drama for the sake
like
of it.
right now, we could be at a coffee shop talking, but we know that there's a camera on us, so we're facing this way.
Exactly.
Like, like that's what it
Right.
is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're currently one of the show directors at Lush. How did that happen, and what's it like being a show director?
Yeah, how did that happen?
Of all people, the camera died. So how did you become
Saved by the bell.
How did you become show director?
When Lush reopened, they all held auditions for all of us. We all auditioned, and then eventually they brought on Barb, everyone's favorite Barb. And she kind of brought in people to be part of the cast. And she has since moved to Las Vegas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Work.
And I credit her for a lot of like, I feel like in watching her like host and kind of be funny on the mic, I feel like I learned a lot of like how to keep things like at a natural, like you're moving the show along, but it's less of like, alrighty, and our next entertainer. I feel like she was good for like helping me kind of naturalize it all, just watching her. And then eventually, we wanted to expand the cast. We wanted to diversify the lineup. And so when Barb stepped down, because she was moving, she recommended Dick Von Dyke and I to kind of like, we called ourselves the interim show schedulers.
Interim show
because
schedulers.
It's less scary.
Show director.
I would venture to say that right now, like, the show directors are Dick and I, and then also the two of the owners, Crystal Bell and Nikki Vixen.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of work as a team along with some of the management. The management is great. There's been a lot of pivoting with the like Lush since they reopened, just because it is. I've learned this year it's hard to do business. It's hard to do gay business.
Yeah.
Post pandemic land, especially when someone like the Saloon has such a
grip.
Yeah,
Although I've heard the Eagle is starting to take
they
over.
are.
Yeah.
They something about a gray sweatpants party.
I know. I was thinking about that.
That's
yeah.
fun.
Okay, yes.
I would go.
I'd go.
I'd buy a pair of gray
Yeah.
sweatpants just for this.
Yeah.
So Dick and I are I'm gonna say schedulers, and then we also assist when it comes to like brainstorming shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've done a pretty decent job at like bringing in new fresh faces.
Yeah, I've been seeing some really cool lineups lately.
Yeah. Now the challenge, I guess, is just like how do you kind of like tighten up what was, we are using like 50 people in town,
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of evens out to like 1 or 2 a month,
Yeah.
which isn't like the greatest thing to have, but that's beside the point.
It's like you can't live on it, but it's fun to have a regular booking
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this has kind of been the year where the rose-colored glasses were taken off my head when it comes to drag, and so I've had to find the joy when I can, but being on the business side of scheduling divas and kings is a lot different than working with them.
I believe it, because
It's a
I believe
lot.
people
Well,
are...
you do.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
people
you
want
both do.
bookings so bad. I've not like had anyone be mean to me, but like I understand people are like hungry
That makes
for
one
it.
of you.
Yeah, I know.
Well, and there is this mentality. You've done the Twin Cities gay scene little interview thing and stuff.
Yeah.
For my advice section, I just simply put, nobody owes you bookings, and that's the
Yeah.
And
Truth.
I want to say this for our listeners at home. I think, because I get this question all the time, maybe you're going to ask it, but maybe you're going to ask it.
Maybe.
knows?
People ask, like, how do you do drag full time?
Yeah,
and
that is on the list.
Okay, sorry.
No, go for it. Go
but,
for it.
Perfect segue,
But
let's go.
I remind them, like, I don't necessarily perform in drag full time. I mean, part of it is I'm a show scheduler / director at Lush, so that's kind of an hourly gig. I do wigs for one of the theaters out in the suburbs. And I always tell myself that if the day came when everyone was so sick of Luna Muse, we're fed up with her, I'm not going to post on Facebook and say, I need to be booked. I'm going to get a job.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a place of privilege. That might be a place of privilege. But I'm fully aware that your real life situation has to be stable enough to then expect things out of this make-believe life that you've done.
Yeah.
You know, like Luna Muse LLC is very strict on Cam Peterson, but it's nothing that anybody owes me.
No, yeah.
You know? And I think I've proven where I'm helpful to people. I think I know where I'm not helpful to people, you know, when it comes to like where I'm booked and whatnot. But yeah, I nobody owes anybody anything.
Nobody owes anyone anything.
And if you are like helpful enough and you know, you bring things to the table, I think it will come or it won't. You know, I have my busy months and then it kind of lulls into less busy months and that's when you pick up other gigs.
Real. I think actually, like Wanda and I have been finding out, drag is, and showbiz in general, it's just a gamble. It's
It
a
is a
constant
gamble.
It is. And on the business end of things, could you not say that as well? I mean,
absolutely.
I will have a month where we'll bring in, you know, $1,000 in extra cash from shows, and then a month where I'm not getting paid to do any of this.
Right.
I'm having to pay everyone else. So you never know.
Especially nowadays, I feel like too.
Things are rough
We're
right
all
now.
kind of experiencing like we have to find new ways to get people into shows, and maybe that necessarily isn't like a traditional, like a sit down and watch them for 2 hours. Maybe it's more like an immersive.
Yes, an immersive experience.
Kind of a
You walk around,
loosey-goosey.
talk.
Yeah.
A dance party, perhaps.
Yeah.
I personally, and we were talking about this on a different episode, I really want to see more duets and group numbers and things that have a little more production
We're
value.
working on that at Lush.
I love
it's
that.
It's not everyone's favorite.
Well, then... maybe not.
Getting multiple drag people to do something together, I don't...
Why is it so... It's like herding cats.
So we were gonna do that Broadway show, and that was fun. We had a great number lined up, but I think people are just scared, and when people aren't confident in drag, that's when drag really falters. And we had a bunch of group numbers at Lush that we used to do, that they were fun, and until people like kind of lost the confidence or like we needed to brush up steps and whatnot. And the minute that confidence is gone, it is not worth trying to make anybody like uncomfortable or you know, do something that they're not comfortable in. But I love interact like. One of my favorite things about some of the flip phone brunches is like, oh, we're doing a duet. We have no time to rehearse, and we're walking amongst tables, so it's blocking or whatever. You hit the beats, you hit the moments, but going out there and just like improving with people.
Oh yeah,
it's fun.
It's really fun.
You know, and I think it kind of that's like the community in the business the pockets of business is those little moments of like, me and Lady Camille didn't even practice this, but here we are.
But here we are,
nailing it. Like,
yeah. No, I want to be a part of a cast, like, specifically to try and put together bigger, cooler things like that. But a lot of people, I get it, it's time-consuming, but a lot of people want to be paid for their time to even practice. And I'm like, listen, I'm doing this because it's fun.
Yeah, and it's just, I think that's just the line you have to draw. For me, so for theater, for example, I have a hard time, kind of why I drifted into drag, because theater, for example, does not pay graciously, because they know that you love it. Whereas drag, you have to pay your perform. I mean, you know. So it's just a gamble of, you know, is this a paid gig or is this a community, family, you know, kind of thing. And I do both. I just got to make sure that my bills are paid.
But I think people would even pay. I think people would pay more for tickets if they knew like bigger things were happening in the show, because nowadays I just don't know if I can afford $15, $20 ticket for a single diva just kind of bullshitting it.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I want to challenge everyone, because I also think it's just adding to like the heat death of drag, of just like, oh yeah, it's just another diva walking around.
Well, I think it's just how to spice it up and reinvent it, and again, meeting the audience halfway of what they're expecting versus how to like, you know, shock and impress them, I think.
Yeah. I fully agree with that.
Period.
You were recently in SpongeBob SquarePants the Musical.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you find this opportunity, and what was it like doing a full production like that?
Well, I had heard that they were doing it, you know, through like the grapevine of audition postings and whatever. Grapevine, is that a thing?
No.
I kind of liked it. And so I sent in a tape because I knew the track. I saw SpongeBob on Broadway, and I knew that it was what they call a princess track, which is like you're not on a lot, and when you're on, it's like you and one other person, and it's like an in out song, in out kind of a thing.
Sure.
And I thought, that would probably be a nice rehearsal schedule, knowing that like my full-time job weekdays are the weekends, and that's kind of when they do a lot of rehearsing. And so I sent in a tape dressed as the most vanilla rapper you ever did see, wearing a green jacket, and I sang Fancy by Iggy Azalea.
Yes!
Work.
For those of you who don't know, Plankton raps in SpongeBob the Musical.
I love that.
And I made it very clear of like I was auditioning for one person and one person only. And I got the gig. They were really gracious to me about like when I rehearsed and when I couldn't. And there were times when Aranya and I would like do a gig and then drive to rehearsal like in face.
Work.
But it was really fun, and I think what was fun for me too is like having someone like Aranya was SpongeBob for those of you at home, like someone who was in the drag community and also doing a theater thing to kind of see the, you know, the different sides of us.
Yeah.
I think I've learned it's important to know like who your peers are without a wig on.
Yeah.
I think it's like cool. I used to be really nervous about like going out and like interacting with people because I didn't want them to see how much of a monster I was behind all of the
monster.
No, I just get nervous. You know, I get nervous and anxious about saying something wrong and putting my foot in my mouth. And now being a quote unquote show director, I've learned you can never make everybody happy.
No, never ever.
But it was fun. It was great to be like in a, you know, a community thing that wasn't in a bar setting.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I was sick of some people, but like you know, that's.
Her name's Aranya, and
no. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. There were days when I was like, "Why are Aranya and Luna Muse, two real life drag queens? Why are we the least annoying people in the room right now? What is up with that?" I literally I would look across the room and I was like, "Why? What? The two drag queens are being the most quiet right now."
Theater kids.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't claim them.
I would say that drag people get a bit more experience working with other performers
Yes.
than quite a few theater people do.
Yeah.
And otherwise, like, in theater, there's always this hierarchy of what role are you, where are you in
Yeah.
the ensemble, how many lines do you have.
Whereas in drag, we're all just individual divas.
We're
Yeah.
all
No, that's
just
true.
people in wigs.
That's true. I
And
felt
stinky
kind of
cats.
powerful because I feel like Aranya and I like really brought in a lot of people
Yeah.
Oh,
to
yeah.
that little theater up in
Mhm.
America. So when it was done, I was like, this is interesting. Like, we should have gotten like a commission promo code or something.
Ooh.
Like, dang.
Wait, didn't you have? Oh, no, commission promo.
There was
Code.
a
You already
giveaway.
had a promo
There was-
code, right? Because it was like use
There
this code.
were several codes, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like when you know when you get a stipend, the idea of like, okay, well, how many tickets did Aranya and Luna Muse sell? Because I
Yeah,
feel
that
like
part.
it's-
Because y'all had a following. And
Yeah, well, I mean, I've never been in a show theater wise where like every single show there was someone that I knew out in the lobby after.
Wow.
You know, usually it's like, you know, opening, the weekend your parents come,
Yeah.
maybe your friends come to one of them, but no, it was really nice. I got so many flowers.
Flowers.
I was
I
like,
hardly know her.
all right.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was great.
It was good, and it was great. I feel like I already asked you a little bit about this, but I think
answer it again.
You are one of the most full-time performers I've ever seen, performing sometimes 8 nights a week. How do you balance that life and work and maintain your sanity?
I don't.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I think that is this is something I prepped today. There definitely has been sacrifice like behind the wig.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been in relationships in drag. I've chosen to end relationships in drag, and not because anything they did probably just you know because of I'm out on the moon essentially, and they're kind of wanting to be on Earth. What a concept! But yeah, that's another thing I tell people like it's not all fun and games. I mean, Pride Week for example, I was a little short on time getting things together and like having to get looks pulled together. So I would get up at like 5:30 or whatever to do the morning gigs, kind of come back, do the suitcase resetting or whatever. And Pride I was waking up that early and then like going to bed at like 3 because I would try to stay up to finish the costuming to do that for the next day, and I think I did that like 4 days in a row.
Oh God.
So it's hard.
It's hard.
And like obviously like things probably like suffer from that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't give your best when you're stretched so thin. So that Pride was a good learning experience of like how far can we push ourselves?
Yeah.
And a lot of people in town, I think, whether they want to say it or not, I mean, a lot of the full-time divas, like my girl Anya Deek. I love her so much. She works like a full-time job.
She works a
She does.
full-time job as a dental hygienist.
Yeah, which I think is a wackadoodle.
That is insane.
But I think the people who like are like really in it and like really have a good like tenacity and drive, I think it pays off. But there are sacrifices.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you go to therapy?
No, but I really should. I really should. I feel like that's why I watch The Housewives so much, because I can watch them like throw tables and shit at each other.
And then you
Like,
don't have
at least
to.
I'm not like that.
where I'm like, oh yeah, I get it
Yeah.
out. I get it out.
Yeah. Do you at least exercise to like relieve stress, or is this enough exercise that you're like that's?
Yeah, I really should exercise, because
I'm a cardio queen.
Every time, and I used to like love running and whatnot. Ever since I'm gonna be vulnerable on the podcast.
Be vulnerable.
Ever since I was diagnosed with what's it called? Arthritis, in my right foot, just the right foot.
Oh God.
I try not to put too much, like, because like running is hard, and
It is very
and
hard
I
on your
do a
legs.
lot of running in drag.
Yeah, you
on
do.
concrete,
In heels.
Yeah, on
Yep.
concrete rooftops. So I know I should
Mhm.
condition, but a lot of times I don't.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, I've got a great group of friends that I can kind of escape the drag realm.
Yeah.
You know, kind of reground myself with them, but yeah, it's a give and take, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's a journey. I'm learning it.
I was just saying, it's very hard to, I feel like, escape it because
It is.
I've been told before that I talk about drag a lot, and I'm like, well, it's
Oh,
my
really?
fault. Yeah.
Wait, from who?
No, I'm not saying.
No. Because I also talk about
Oh,
drag a lot.
like friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's my full-time gig. I perform, I produce
is-
shows, I sew costumes, and
It's
I
kind of our
only
entire
really
life.
interact with
Yeah.
other drag
Absolutely.
people. So, like, I
It's
don't
your
know.
community and your job. Whoa, that's crazy. If someone said that to me, it'd be like, listen, bitch.
I'm like, I
Oh my gosh.
I've got nothing else to talk about. Nothing
Yeah.
else is happening.
I don't watch the games.
I do think something I've learned. It is important to like win with other drag people at the saloon. Like, you know, you're watching a show out of drag. I've learned it's important to have connections with those people that aren't about drag.
Yeah.
Because a
Yeah.
lot of people, I think, are hyper aware of like, oh, I only know her because we all, you know, we talk about drag.
Yeah.
Or we talk about the latest Facebook bullshit, or, you know, like
Right.
that's all people talk about. I
Do
think
you have
it's.
a cat? Do you play video games? Do
Yeah.
you watch a show?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Do you
yeah.
watch The
Do
Housewives?
you watch The Housewives? And
I'm
I
gonna have
go-
to start watching. I
Yeah.
feel like it's so
Yeah.
good.
and then I'll talk to you about it at the saloon.
Oh my god,
Okay, sounds
please.
And then we can have a positive outlet that isn't about drag.
There we go. Finally.
On the flip side, you could start playing Baldur's Gate 3. You'd have to buy a gaming PC first.
No, so video games are so not my journey.
Me too.
And here's why.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I think it's a waste of my time.
It is! No, it absolutely
But
is
it's
a
so
waste of your
healthy.
time.
People love video games, and I'm such a multitasking diva.
Mhm.
I'll be watching a movie, answering emails, and like listening to a podcast all at the same time.
See,
It's crazy.
it's wasting time. Like reading a book is wasting time.
And I think reading books are a waste of time. And I also think I love podcasts, but I don't want to listen to an audiobook. I want to read the page.
yeah.
And I have been on the same book for the entire year.
Work.
So because it's a waste of time.
I do it to fall asleep.
I also
I
do
read like
fall
5
asleep.
pages and I'm like,
Yeah.
I also have been on a really boring book lately, so that's my fault.
That's it.
Oh yeah, what's the what is it's a gay book.
It's some
about-
gay book. It's some like magical realism, but it's like also written in like a very Jane Austen way, and I'm just like, I'm so tired. When are they gonna kiss?
I love gay books. The thing, so I see Red, White, and Royal Blue and
Yes.
Husband Material.
Yes,
yes.
yes, ma'am.
Have you read those?
I read Boyfriend Material.
Okay, yes.
That's why
Material
Royal
was
Blue
good.
is raunchy. You'll like. it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I've been reading it for the past year.
Oh.
And
Period.
what I love is like the steamy parts, but then so those are kind of similar because it's kind of like political / like working
Yeah.
/ like image type stuff. But there's so many what they call cock blocks.
Yeah.
So like I love when they're like together, and then when they're talking about like the presidential election or whatever, I'm like, I don't care about this. And it's like chapters about not gay sex, and I don't want that. I'm trying to read a book about smut.
No.
Like, so that's where I struggle with reading.
Have you read The Heartstoppers?
No.
They're a graphic novel, so it go like
Heartstoppers?
that.
Very, very cute.
Yeah,
So
I-
if you like fluff anyway.
I've watched it, and I think it's great. I think it's like like a vanilla wafer of a TV show.
It's very humbling.
It is.
It's very
I think
cute.
Trixie
Very
and Katya
sweet.
called it a cultural reset after Euphoria.
Yeah.
So it's like the exact opposite. These are good kids. They're having healthy relationships and healthy resolutions
Right.
to conflict.
I when the first season came out, I went to Barnes and Noble and I was like, do you have this book called Heartstopper? And they're like, yeah, it's out of print, so sorry. And then I kind of just like gave up on.
If you want to borrow them, we
I
have them.
love
We
to
do
buy
have-
books
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and never read them. I have so many books that I've never read.
That's so real.
I mean, they look good on the shelf.
They do.
They look good on the shelf.
And then you gotta move them, which isn't fun. But that's my exercise.
Oh, there you go. I mean, honestly, if you do drag enough, I feel like that's pretty good exercise.
Thank you.
Yeah.
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 That answers my question.
Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. This episode of the Drag Me With a Spoon podcast is sponsored by Gagworthy Designs. Hi, Gag. It's your girl, Miss Wanda Gag, and Miss Ma'am. Did you hear she's selling costumes now? She's taking orders and serving looks. He gets a costume, she gets a costume, they get a costume, everybody's getting costumes! Commissions are now open, so message us on Instagram at Gagworthy Designs or on our website, www.dragmewithaspoon/Gagworthy Designs. All right, bye, gags. Now back to your featured content. This episode of the Drag Me With a Spoon podcast is brought to you by Stoned Crazy, your go-to destination for all things bling and costume embellishments. Are you ready to add some sparkle to your life? That's right, Stoned Crazy offers a dazzling selection of rhinestones, fringe, and rhinestone rope, along with the essential tools and glues to make your creative projects shine. Whether you're a DIY enthusiast, a fashion designer, or just someone looking to add a touch of glamour, Stoned Crazy has you covered. Stoned Crazy is proud to be a queer POC-owned business based in the heart of Minnesota. By supporting Stoned Crazy, you're not only getting high-quality embellishments, but you're also supporting diversity and inclusivity in the crafting community. So why wait? Visit Stone Crazy today at stonecrazymn.com and start adding some serious bling to your life. Use code DRAGSPOON for 20% off your purchase as well. Remember, it's not just about the rhinestones, it's about making a statement. Get crazy bling at Stone Crazy. And we're back! Oh my god.
Those ads were riveting.
Riveting. Use code DRAGSPOON for 15% off your purchase at Stone Crazy. That's 15% off with code DRAGSPOON. Anyways.
Dragspoon.
DRAGSPOON.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoonful of drag.
A spoonful of drag.
Where were we?
Are you gonna bring your podcast back? Dark Side of the Moon.
I've kind of it's the
With
other
Lunar
side
Moose?
of the moon.
Oh.
The other side of the moon. I get into these like fits of like, I would love to chat and have people listen to me talk, but it like kind of petered out because I was like, it's just little old me, just rambling. And also, I started it like kind of right after college, and it was supposed to be like tracking my like life in and out of drag and theater and kind of experiencing the real world. And then I had occasional guests. The audio quality was terrible.
Zoom is not it.
But it was fun.
It was fun.
And then the things got so dark in the world that I just like I think I learned what like depression felt like.
Oh.
So I think eventually maybe, but it's gotta have to be about a topic. Pistachio Cream Pie recommended something about like Bravo or the Housewives.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I think that would be fun.
I think you could do it in segments. You could do like a 10-minute segment. Like, these are the shows I'm working on. These are the things I've been doing.
But is
and
that
then,
interesting though?
Yeah,
Me
you're
talking about my shows.
You're a local celebrity, Diva.
I don't think
I want to know what
so.
you're up to. Why do you think you're here right now? I can listen to you talk for
Because we're
hours.
friends.
Who said
Well,
we're
that's
friends?
part of it.
Oh, T.
Ah.
Maybe. The answer is maybe.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. In the meantime, it's time for some fan questions.
Wait, is that what this bucket
No, that's the name game. That's later.
I brought a cauldron. Why? I don't know.
Why not? So we have some fan questions. Spectrum asks, what has been your favorite part of performing in the Twin Cities?
Ooh, I think probably just the variety of like venues and places I've performed. I've performed everywhere from like little tiny bars in St. Paul to First Ave to the Mall of America.
To the Okay, those Mall of America shows look a little stressful, having everyone just sit there
No,
quietly.
they are.
They
and,
look.
and the Sasha Velour one, oh my god, one of the best shows I've ever done.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was so cool to be in the same room with her, like getting ready casually. But the security, not the police, the security was so tight on us, and I kept like trying to like watch in the back of the I kept going back and forth after I performed to like watch my friends perform, and I didn't realize like there was at least like 3 security people per drag person like around their vicinity at all times.
Just following.
But I mean, it's a scary like public place to be.
And
having
I
that,
always
to be
say
honest.
this, not to be too deep, but I never want to be shot and dead in drag. If I die, I cannot be wearing a wig.
That's fair.
So if you got a hit out on me, not when I'm in a wig.
Jesus Christ.
My
There's a
parents,
schedule for
my
this.
parents need to be able to sell the costumes and make some money. I want a nice funeral. Anyways, sorry. Don't kill me.
Don't kill me.
Please welcome to the podcast. Don't kill her, Luna Muse.
Thank you for your question, Spectrum.
Quinn Von Sin asks, best and worst Catherine Hudson albums, Nia.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. For those of you at home, Catherine Hudson is known as Katy Perry. I would say the best Katy Perry album. I'm gonna say it. One of the Boys. It's her debut album. It's got some problems there. A lot of them, that's where You're So Gay is on. There's a song called Mannequin. But when you really get down to the nitty-gritty, she was homeschooled. She was in this bubble of, like, Christianity. And so she was experiencing, like, what we call, like metrosexual men for the first time, or egocentric men who are more kind of interested in themselves versus her. So I think that is my favorite one, just because she has this, like Vans Warped Tour kind of edge to her voice.
Yeah.
Obviously, Teenage Dream is like the most
iconic album.
It's like one of the best pop albums of all time.
Yes.
Front to back, and like she wrote songs that were like about things that ended up happening to her on tour, which I think was cool and iconic. I love Prism. I think it's maybe not the most cohesive. Witness, I really loved when it was out, and I think it's a better listen post-pandemic, because she released it way before the pandemic even was a thought. I like Smile. I think maybe Smile is maybe not the best one.
Was that the Mushrooms one?
The Mushrooms one is not an album. The Mushroom is just her Vegas residence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I really like her when she gets a little bit twisted and dark. One of my favorite performances, everyone at home has to look this up. It's not too problematic, but it's the
Really selling it.
2014 Grammys. She performed, she was a witch. She was a witch,
yep.
and she like came out of this crystal ball, and they like did pole dancing on brooms, and
hot.
everyone thought she was in the Illuminati, and everyone thought that she was casting a spell on them through their TVs. I love it. I love it when the crazy Christian people, like, they think like, oh, Beyonce's partners with the devil, or oh, Katy Perry, she's in her little witch coven. I mean, she can kill a nun to buy a house. Like, we all know this.
Yeah.
And she's currently in a legal battle with one of the Real Housewives of Dallas.
She's gonna die.
No, her stepdad is going to die.
Oh,
anyways, yeah. It's wild. Anyways, thank you for your question, Quinn.
Period.
Iconica and Toxic ask, Luna, we love you so much. If you couldn't be a Katy cat, what kind of cat would you be?
Okay, this is controversial because I'm in the household. I'm not a cat person. I'm not a cat person
Vanguard.
at all. You, like a fan of someone, or cat centric?
I don't know. What kind of cat would you be?
What kind of
is all we're
cat would
saying.
you be? There's Orange.
I was like a Blue's Clues girly when I was little, so I don't know. I just cats. I think the aesthetic of them, like snakes, and spiders. The aesthetic is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're so soft and like I don't know, fragile feeling, and then all of a sudden they're like scratching your eyes out. So I get uneasy about cats.
The duality
But
of
I grew
pussy.
up with like, I have a German Shepherd back home. Like I grew up with like big, rough and tumble,
Like an animal
wolf
that could actually
dogs.
hurt you. Yeah.
Yeah. And Gemma, shout out to Gemma, the German Shepherd back home.
Pretty much, I will let Gemma know that she is a fat cunt.
But I, if it's about fandom, my trajectory as a little baby gay went, I think it was Kelly Clarkson, and then it was Gwen Stefani, then it was Fergie, then it was Katie.
That explains a lot, actually.
I was thinking about this in the shower today. The kind of later half of the 2000s, so 2005, 2010, these divas had to reinvent themselves. I mean, they still kind of do, but we were really, I mean, Fergie brought us to the chocolate factory, and Katie was taking us into the clouds and all over the damn place. I love when there's like a clear like theme, and journey, and like narrative.
Narrative.
Anyways, thank you for your question.
Thank you for your question. Max Halverson asked.
Wait.
Max Halverson.
She used her boy account. This is what she gets.
Oh.
Max Halverson asks, when will we see the return of the witchy world of Luna Muse?
Oh.
The Fringe Festival production.
Thank you so much for your question, Max. I had a great time doing the Fringe, and I wrote the show. This is my one-woman show for those of you at home who may not know me. It was super fun to like challenge myself to like write, direct, produce, fund, costume, sound design, all that, all that fun stuff. It was a lot, and I think I learned by doing the Fringe Festival, kind of doing this like what probably should have been like an hour and a half type show into like 50 minutes. There was like all these ideas. I kind of learned like what worked, what didn't, and like it's kind of on the shelf of like maybe in the future I'll revisit it and vamp it up a bit.
Yeah, revise a little. 'Cause
Yeah.
You had to record your own versions of songs because you couldn't.
Well, not necessarily.
Not
That was
Oh.
that was a worry we had, but I didn't end up doing that.
Oh,
so
okay.
We just looked the other way.
I love that for you.
No, there was definitely producing that was a lot of work,
I believe that.
and I think that kind of put some meat on my drag bones of like I didn't have. I've never had a dresser like at a show. I've never had assistants, which I think are valid. And
Oh, of
if
course.
people need them and you want to hire people, you want to pay people to be your assistant, that is groovy and cool for you. I'm a single child. I'm not in a drag family. I work better alone. I just can contain all the stress to myself. And I would literally show up 10 minutes before my show would start with my little Tupperware full of costumes and set pieces, and I would set it up in like 5 minutes and then wait behind the curtain and do the show and then tear it all down and walk out with my little Tupperware container. So it's a lot of work, but
It is a lot of work.
eventually, I just think
I'd love to see it back.
Yeah, and I think maybe not in a Fringe setting. The Fringe Festival is wackadoodle.
It's wackadoodle time. It is whack-a-doodle time.
I believe it.
There's just so many like nuancy things. I think ideally like I would love to like do like a summer in P-Town or something. Because
that'd be cool.
that's kind of like what Fringe is, but I'd love to like be an entertainer in some kind of like gay vacation destination. Just for a summer.
I feel like that could be really good money too.
Or not.
Or not.
I don't know. I've heard it's really expensive out there. But
That's true.
I mean, I feel like the artsy gays would really get into it. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, an independent drag queen doing a one-woman show.
Well, but they all do that out there.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they all have their like
Oh.
Tina Burner and all them. They all have their own like one woman show. That's like kind of what New York is. They like
Oh,
you have
yeah.
to like command and hold their attention for that long. But Max, to answer your question, eventually.
Moonlight Violets asks,
Ooh.
where have you gotten inspiration for your 1980s drag looks? It's a very specific.
1980s drag looks.
Yeah.
Big fan of Pat Benatar.
Oh, Patty B.
I think maybe what they may be talking about is Susie Sue and the Banshees.
Oh.
Do any of you know?
I do
No, I
not.
don't. Okay. Well, for those of you at home, look up Susie Sue and the Banshees. It was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was definitely alternative. It was like punk, but in kind of like a, I'm going to use like the term, like Florence and the Machine. Kind of like,
yeah.
I don't know, like female groany, I don't know. You've got to look it up.
Okay.
Some of them don't necessarily hold up to like being PC, like just some of the titles of and themes of some of the songs, but she just had this like weird, like unbrushed, short, kind of bristly, like black, like short bob that was always like ratted out and very, kind of like punk, pale, dark brows. Yeah, that's kind of when I think 80s. I think of like that kind of stuff. A lot of rouge.
A lot of rouge.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Blush.
that kind of almost stumped me.
I know. When I saw that question, I was like, whoa.
What was the name of that group again? It was
Susie Sue and the Banshees.
Susie Sue and the Banshees.
Yes, the most popular song is probably Spellbound, which I've done a couple times. But like if you are a fan of American Horror Story, she's been in the soundtrack of that.
Oh, period.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And lastly, and this question is old, Jula Ray asks, are you going to be at South Central Minnesota Pride this year?
Well, so glad you asked. Yes. Okay. I try to make it there every single year. I don't think I missed 1 year and it was pandemic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't.
Social unrest. Yeah. So I didn't go for that. But yeah, I like to go there every year. I've seen the booking up here, and I've seen it down here as they've gone through shifting and changing. But I think it's one of my favorite things. It's kind of like where I didn't start there, but it was a thing that I did every single year. It was the beginning of the semester. And I kind of like to think that the locals can see like the progress I make each
Mm-hmm.
year.
And they remember you, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
You know, because it's a good reminder of, while Mankato's not my hometown, it's kind of like where I did a lot of growing up
Exactly.
as like a person. And
Life really begins
in
like
my
that first year
gayness.
of college.
yeah. I mean, I go back home and I'm like, I'm a different person almost because I didn't do any of the glamorous fun stuff. I've done a drag show back home and it's not my favorite. Doing drag in a small hometown is, while it's necessary, it's just different.
It is different.
Especially in like North Dakota, Minnesota.
So you straight up done a drag show in your hometown?
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
when was that?
It was right after the Fringe Festival in last year, and my partner and we drove up to do my one-woman show in a record store. I didn't know that it was all ages until I got there.
Oh, no.
And so I was censoring like as I was doing the show.
Oh, God.
Technical kind of threw me, and then we found out that the owner of the record store's tires were slashed because they thought I was trying to groom the children.
Oh, jeez.
For those of you at home, one thing that pisses me off more than anything is the child grooming.
Uh-huh.
I can't do it. You can call me a faggot. You can call me anything you want to call me. But I don't care about your kids.
No.
I think you should love them, and I think you should get them a great education, and you should feed them nicely. But I don't care about your kids.
This is from the political party that literally does purity balls where their daughters pledge their virginity to their fathers. Like,
Oh
I don't
my
want to
God.
fucking hear it.
That Lauren Boebert, whatever the frick her name is, that really gooped me because
Lauren fingered in the theater, Boba.
Yes,
Like,
because
can't.
I tweeted this. I, as a drag gay person, whatever, I would never do something like that in a quote unquote kind of family friendly musical.
Yeah.
It's wild to me that a member of Congress would like, or whatever she's a member of club library card holder of. Like, I just like, no one would do that.
No
you
one
know?
would do that.
The entitlement. Oh, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your questions.
I always like to go back to South Central Minnesota Pride. Thank you for your question.
All right, we've got one more segment. It is the name game, which is my favorite new game that we've been doing. Okay, Ava. So basically, we've just got some questions
We
based
have
on
a
your
lovely
name.
cauldron here. So we're gonna just kind of do them randomly and see what we get. Here we
Pistachio
go.
wrote these questions, so we have no
Pistachio
idea.
wrote these lovely
And this is
questions.
kind of rapid fire. I should go quick.
Oh, yeah, a little more
If you'd
rapid
like
fire.
to.
For those of you at home, I'm a little long-winded, if you can't tell.
Here we go.
Okay.
Luna Lose. What was it like getting the bloodbath crown taken away?
One of my favorite memories ever. I felt so cool being crowned, and then to have I was sad, but let me tell you, I love reality television, and I went with that narrative for about 3 years. So if you ever get a crown taken away from you, just
Milk it.
lean into it. Lean into it. This is probably maybe will come out after, but I'm very excited for the bloodbath ball featuring once again.
Oh, me? Stop.
Your lovely contestant number whatever.
Number 1, because that was the first one featured.
Oh, that's right.
Probably.
Oh,
I don't know.
number 1.
I don't know which number. Anyways, I kind of ate that photo shoot up.
You did.
Yeah.
If this is out before or after, you should check it out. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This will be out after.
okay, well maybe she'll have one. Or
Yeah,
lost.
well, see?
Maybe they'll have crown too,
Well,
and
at
they'll
least
take it
she
away.
won the promo.
And taking it away. Exactly. Give me a question.
All right. Ah! All right. Almost knocked over her Red Bull.
Okay.
It's homophobia.
Luna Views. What is your most viewed TikTok?
I think right now it's one with my friend and I where we look like the Sanderson sisters. But
yeah.
shortly behind it I think is I don't know. There's a couple.
Name one. Name a TikTok.
There's my Wednesday Addams one.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a White Lotus one.
Mm-hmm.
There's one there was one recently, but I can't remember what it is.
Was it also when you were Rita Skeeter?
Yeah, that one blew up.
Yeah.
That one, yeah. The thing is that nowadays people want to collect like a video of you to post on their TikTok.
Oh, I
so
hate
it's kind
that.
of hard to track, like, because I'm in people's that blow up, but I don't necessarily keep track of
Oh, yeah.
those. Yeah.
Ask another one.
Oh yes, here we are.
Keep it
All
moving.
all
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Luna Bruise. What is the worst drag injury you've ever had?
Arthritis in my right foot. Literally, it was
God.
days before I turned 26, and the health insurance was decreasing, and I realized that my foot hurt so bad I couldn't like bend my toes to get it into heels, and it hurt to like do that.
Yeah.
And this is winter. So then I went to the doctor, got an MRI, took a lovely nap in the MRI machine, and they told me, they're like, well, you got arthritis. Good luck. And there's nothing you can really do other than get shots. Or he said they could fuse my bones so that they wouldn't be able to bend. And I was like,
That
well,
sounds worse.
I need them to bend. I need to wear hooker shoes. So, yeah,
Shit.
that's probably bad.
Yeah. Luna brews. Do you brew anything in your cauldron?
Okay, so I was just at the Renaissance Festival, and I'm kind of like a fake Party City witch, but I'm really into using the essential oils from that pyramid scheme that everyone got into a couple years ago. And I like to like make little scents and,
I love
and
that.
diffuse all these different scents. I don't know if they do anything for me, or they'll probably be poisoning me. Who knows?
Good.
But I like, like a bergamot, orange, clove. That's my brewing.
Some good.
I'm also a trained barista, so.
Oh.
Again, when people get sick of me, I'll just go back to Starbucks.
Go back to that.
Luna shoes. How many pairs of shoes do you own?
Well, I'm getting rid of some because I can't fit into them anymore. A lot. But with the brunches, I'm usually wearing some form of a chunky boot because of your heels will fall into the slats of the cement and they'll get ruined.
Oh yeah, I heard you had that problem
yes.
recently again. Like,
Wait, yeah.
I don't remember who it was. Somebody recently was like, "Oh yeah, Luna got stuck in the."
I went
patio
out
again."
to step out as Lisa Vanderpump. For those of you at
Oh,
home
this
who don't know who
is
that
you
is,
told me.
yeah, I stepped out and Lisa Vanderpump is elegant. She's rich. She has a dog, and I stepped right into that little crack in my little tiny heel, and I got stuck.
Were you
But-
stuck there for like the whole number?
No. I think Lady Camille freed me.
Oh,
Okay,
good.
But you got to be on your toes.
On your toes.
And they saw that you made a mess up. They saw that you're stuck in the crack. Lean into it.
Oh, of course.
Life is not over.
Yeah.
You still have 8 minutes left of your mix. Book it.
Make it
Also,
work.
what do you mean you don't fit in half your shoes anymore?
So part of the arthritis problem, I think, is that I was trying to fit into shoes that just didn't fit.
Yeah, Carmen was talking about that. She's like, I used to wear shoes, or was it Samantha? Either one. They were like, yeah, I wore shoes that were too small, and it just
And
it's horrible on
It's
your feet.
cute for a bit, but after a while, I mean, yeah.
They certainly don't fly off, I guess.
No,
But
nobody's really been like too mean about my shoe wear, but in the back of my mind, I know that I don't wear like the most glamorous of shoes.
Well, there's always like one person that's very vocal about the shoe has to match the outfit, and then it just
Yeah, and their unpainted toenails are probably hanging over the edge of their little pleasers, so it's probably fine.
it's probably okay.
Oh, that wasn't a read at anyone's.
Oh, I was like,
I don't like feet though, so I don't
me
like
neither.
a lot of open toed stuff.
Luna Amuse. What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? Probably when I get home after a gig and I look in the mirror at how decrepit I look. No, what makes me laugh? I like a lot of podcasts, I guess. I'm gonna be basic. Trixie and Katya usually
Their
they
podcast
get
is
me
actually
chuckling.
really good,
Yeah. Because they're kind of normal when they're like not,
Yeah.
normal in a sense.
Exactly.
Normal in a cross-dresser
When it's not,
sense.
it's like it's somehow different.
Yeah.
they're like kooky best friends, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of different podcast duos that I listen to, but Grace Helbig and Mamrie Hart, they're another good
Oh,
duo.
yeah.
I was gonna say in the early days of the Drag Me with the Spoon podcast, we would watch just like before, just to get
Just
into
to
the
get
energy
fun.
of
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Maybe you've been asked this, so if you had to say who was like who, the archetype of like the Barbie that looks crazy but is normal versus the person that looks normal is crazy, which one of you is who?
Well, I guess I'm the normal one that usually tries to keep the show flowing, and you just say shit.
And I certainly do
So,
have
Trixie
the singers
Katya.
and the one-liners.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And also I like to gross people out because I think it's funny. And so I think that puts us in
You look like
perspective.
that, and it does make me laugh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gabe.
What's the last question?
Okay, the last question.
I'm in the middle of a marital dispute.
Divorce bags.
Luna Snooze, how do you find the time to sleep?
It's been a lot better recently.
Okay.
Although I still have this problem, and I put it on my Instagram story. About every night around 3 a.m., I'll wake up drenched in sweat. And
The
I think
spirits are calling.
I think it's either stress, anxiety, depression, or whatever. But
It's one of those.
but I don't I get my naps in. Sometimes I literally I'll be sewing something or stoning something, breathing in fumes, and I'll have to just take a little cat nap.
Yep.
That's so
fair.
valid.
That's my favorite.
If your body
A
tells you
cat
to lay
nap.
down, do it.
Yeah.
If you're just on the couch and you're slowly nodding off,
There-
you just follow it.
There are some weekends, especially during Pride, when I would tell people that I just can't sit down because if I sit down,
It's over.
it's over. Like
I
sit
remember
down.
that during like Pride in the park this year. It was
I
like,
just,
can't sit
I
down.
just,
No,
sometimes I just will not sit down. I'll stand all day because if I sit down, then I get tired.
Yeah.
Sleep is important, though, for those of you at home.
Sleep is good.
Period.
And that was the name game.
And now it comes to our favorite part of the podcast. Yes.
Oh.
So this is your three quick drag tips that you give to any performers, old, new, somewhere in betwixt.
Oh, I don't know about quick, but rule number 1. Oh, wait. Tip number 1.
It's the rule now.
It's a rule. You gotta be kind. You gotta be. That's so cheesy. As someone who is on the other side of the casting table, which is kind of nerve-wracking, I'll say. If you're engaging in like the fun, frivolous like Facebook drama of it all, just know that the people who are in charge of booking your shows are watching that. And while some of it is funny, it's so funny to read.
It's so fun to watch,
but it's messy, and oftentimes, I just think being kind goes a long way. Gossip those comments with your friends in person.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't leave a paper trail.
Oh my god.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
I would never.
Because that's normal.
I don't know paper trail.
That's
Leave
normal
no paper
behavior.
trail.
I
Yes.
don't ever pile on. I'm just like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, I like to.
There's even some I don't like though, because I'm like, no, you
Do
can't.
the little Katy Perry, just tweet, haha, in reference to nothing.
So being kind, I think, is a big one. I've seen some entitlement, and it's not fun.
No.
And I always resort to like my experience in theater. I would never be unkind to a director or someone who's trying to cast me in their company. Yeah. That's crazy. You would never walk up to your boss and say that I deserve this. I mean, unless you truly do, but maybe do a nice, have a nice email concocted. But so being kind. I think 2. Oh God, number 2. When I was like coming up in drag,
back in the day,
which was 5 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
While I thought I deserved a lot of things, I never outwardly said, "Hey, you should put me in your show." Like I never did that.
No.
And I think we're in a different landscape post-pandemic of how people have to do things. We had more open stages pre-pandemic, so I have to plead that. But I think there's a sense of I started drag a month ago and you need to book me now, which is kind of not the case.
Yeah. Or they win one open stage and they're like...
It's so wild to me, and I understand the drive, and I think maybe funneling that drive in the era of like, okay, if I'm really serious about this, it's an investment. I'm going to get done up. I'm going to go to your shows, in or out of drag.
Yep.
And I'm going to support that way and be seen by you and chat with you after.
Yeah.
And not even like, even if, the goal is to make you like me, be smart about it.
Yeah.
I think the smartest up-and-comers are the ones that are kind of lurking silently in the back but are present at most of the shows. And I think, like, just because it's one that I see a good community come to all the time is ghoulfriends.
Oh, yeah.
I see, I mean, I'm not even in chart. I mean, that's all Nocturna, but I see some of the same faces come back. And sometimes they're in face, sometimes they're out of face, but I know who they are.
Yeah.
And that's, a big thing about just being entitled to performing anywhere, I think. I don't know what I would title that little note card.
But I agree with it.
Yeah.
Show up for people. They might show up.
Yeah, show up and I guess just be coy about what your expected outcomes are.
I think personally, like, my favorite way that I've been, like, I don't even do the booking. But like, people have approached me about bookings of free.
Ava does not do the bookings.
Ava
Don't message
and
Ava.
I will forget that you asked me. Anyways, but like, my favorite way that people have come up to me asking for a booking was just like, well, hey, if you ever need another dancing diva in your show. Which I personally am fine with that. I'm like, okay, cool. You've told me what you do. I've seen you. Okay, what?
For those of you at home,
Uh-huh.
delete this from your vocabulary. If you ever need a queen, if you ever need a king, delete that from your vocabulary.
Okay.
Find a way to, if you're saying like, hey, I love your show. I love what this is. I love this venue that you do this at. I love being here. If they needed someone, they would reach out to you.
You could even be more straightforward and just be like, I would love to be a part of your show sometime.
You know what?
That is true.
I would like that even more.
For when I inherited when Dick and I inherited the reins of booking at Lush, there was a lot. We both noticed that Dick was not getting the influx of inboxes as I was.
Oh.
Which I think is interesting, and we never publicly announced or whatever. But it is interesting to see how people kind of chat with kings versus queens.
Yeah.
I think that's another conversation that could be had. But it was always a blah 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 has followed you. Blah blah blah. Hey. Blah blah blah. If you ever need a diva, like it's that order, and it was that for like an entire month. And I was like, okay, like I understand, but also like, come on, you guys, get a little smart about this.
I suppose it's like in the context of what I was talking about, most of these people had like been friendly and chatted with me prior and stuff, and then they finished the conversation with that. It wasn't just like they led with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just recontextualizing.
No, you're okay. So they walked away, and you're like, that's the only reason you talked to me.
Well, if you think about it.
Because that's how I feel when.
And I always think that's funny. I don't do the booking.
Oh, okay, I see.
But I usually pass on to Wanda like, hey, so and so talk to me about.
Yeah, I mean, and I write it down too. But anyways, yeah.
Okay, we're running out of time.
Sorry.
I agree with you.
Rule number 3. Rule number 3. I want to say have fun, but I'm gonna say like lean into it. We are most of the time, unless you are, we're not singing live. We're lip syncing.
Yeah.
We are. Sorry about it, clowns.
Yeah.
In sometimes wigs or hats or fun jackets. They meet the audience halfway. They are seeing what you're presenting. You can trick them with your performance, but I don't know, lean into it and have fun. We're not doing brain surgery, and while we are important to kind of distracting people from the bullshit, or maybe reminding them about what's going on in the world, I just think it's important to lean in on the joke.
I agree.
Because it's sometimes not that serious.
Yeah.
And if it is that serious, deliver it in a nice way that they know that it's that serious.
Yeah. Work.
Be intentional. Period.
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
I'm most everywhere at the Luna Muse on the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok. TikTok is exhausting, but I try.
Oh, that's so much effort.
I really try.
Oh my god, just try.
And I am an entertainer with Flip Fun Events when they ask for me. And then I am at Lush Lounge and Theater. I'm at Ghoulfriends at the Saloon. And I'm on Instagram about twice a month. No, not October. I'm cooking some fun things.
Oh, yeah.
That's where you can find me.
Smart.
And then during the weeks, I'm at home.
Smart.
Being a hermit.
Find her at the following address.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Be gay, do crimes.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Say one more thing.
One more thing before we go. I just have to say, I've said it before, but coming from Mankato, I never had the intention of establishing a community or whatever. I think it's so cool that you have like, not only have you cultivated, but you've grown like a gay scene in Mankato.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, I'm being cheesy. But like, it's cool to see because I think it was needed.
It was very needed.
And I just had my sights set on graduating and leaving town, and to look back and have like friends that are like, oh, they're keeping something alive that like just hasn't been.
It hasn't been there ever.
Yeah, it wasn't really kept this whole time. So I think it's really cool, and I think establishing your own business and doing your own shows, I think it's groovy.
Oh, thank you.
So if you ever have the chance to see a Drag Me with a Spoon production, you should go.
It's a fun time. I recommend.
Find out where to find us on Facebook or Instagram and all that.
Or the Drag Me the Spoon website.
Yeah.
www.
You know what? If you're already at this podcast, you know where to find us.
You know what to do.
All right. But until next time. Bye.